It started on a cold, quiet night, the kind where the city lights blur into tired eyes and the world feels too heavy to carry. Dr. Marcus Hill, a respected surgeon, was finally heading home after a 14-hour shift. His white coat lay neatly folded on the passenger seat, his hospital ID still hanging from his neck like a badge of honor earned through sleepless nights and selfless sacrifice. But that night, none of it mattered. Because to the wrong eyes, under the wrong lights, he wasn't a doctor. He was just another black man behind the wheel. The red and blue lights pierced through the darkness like accusation made flesh. Marcus's heart sank as he exhaled slowly, whispering the words every black man knows by heart: stay calm, stay respectful, survive this. He pulled over, hands steady, mind repeating the silent prayer that had kept generations alive. The officer approached with heavy, deliberate footsteps, flashlight slicing through the night. License and registration, he barked. His name tag glinted under the beam, Officer Keaton. His tone wasn't that of a public servant, it was that of a man looking for a reason. Marcus complied, sliding the documents across the window. Keaton didn't even glance at them. Instead, his eyes moved over Marcus like judgment, cold and dismissive. Where you headed this late? Car like this, nice suit, late hours, you selling something? The words stung like a slap. Marcus kept his voice even. I'm coming from the hospital, I'm a doctor, sir. Keaton's lips curled into a smirk. Sure you are. I've heard that one before. The minutes dragged like hours. Cars slowed to watch, the humiliation blooming in Marcus's chest like fire. Why's your ID out? Keaton pressed, shining his light inside the car. Trying to look official. You think a badge makes you innocent? Marcus gripped the steering wheel tighter. It's my hospital ID, he said quietly. But it didn't matter. Because the officer had already decided what Marcus was. Step out of the vehicle, Keaton ordered. The world slowed as Marcus obeyed, standing in the flashing lights, the night air cold against his face. Spread your hands. Keaton frisked him roughly, ignoring his calm explanations, ignoring the badge that hung from his neck. To him, Marcus wasn't a doctor. He was a suspect. Then fate intervened in the cruelest way. The police radio crackled to life, a voice trembling through static. Officer down. Officer down. Main and 5th. We need medical assistance now. Keaton froze mid-motion, his face paling. The voice on the radio was familiar, it was his partner, Officer Carter. Another voice cut through, louder, desperate, he's not breathing. Keaton's eyes darted to Marcus, panic replacing arrogance. That's my partner, he whispered. Marcus stepped forward, voice sharp and commanding now. Then you better let me do my job. If you waste another second, your partner won't make it. Keaton hesitated, pride trembling on his tongue, but the radio screamed again, we need help now. Marcus snatched his ID from Keaton's hand. Get me there, he said, or live with it forever. Moments later, sirens screamed through the city as the patrol car tore down the empty streets. Keaton gripped the wheel, eyes wet with fear. Carter's been my partner 10 years. I can't lose him. Marcus didn't look at him. Drive faster. When they arrived, the scene was chaos. Officers circled the fallen man on the pavement, their faces pale in the red-blue light. Blood pooled beneath him, his chest still. Marcus jumped out, his white coat snapping in the wind like a flag of defiance. Move back, he shouted, dropping to his knees beside Carter. He pressed 2 fingers to the neck. No pulse. Without a second thought, he began compressions, steady, forceful, desperate. Come on, Marcus muttered. Sweat rolled down his face as his hands worked, breath after breath, rhythm after rhythm. The officers watched, helpless, as the man they doubted became their last hope. Then, a gasp. A cough. Carter's body jerked. Air rushed back into his lungs. Cheers erupted. Keaton fell to his knees beside his partner, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, thank you." Marcus stood, wiping blood from his hands, voice steady as stone. "This is what I do. This is who I am. Next time, remember that before you decide what a black man is worth." The words cut deeper than any reprimand. The officers fell silent, shame heavy in the air. But the story didn't end there. Because someone had filmed everything, the stop, the humiliation, the rescue. By morning, the video had gone viral. Millions watched the same man mocked under flashing lights become a hero in the same night. Hashtags flooded the internet, hashtag Dr. Hill, hashtag driving while black. News anchors replayed the footage. Protests erupted outside the station. At the precinct, Keaton sat at his desk, face hollow as the chief slammed a report down. "You made us all look like racists with badges," he roared. Keaton tried to speak, but there was no defense left. The city wanted answers. The department wanted distance. And Marcus, he wanted peace. But peace doesn't come easily to those who've been wronged. Then one night, Marcus came home to find a letter slid under his door. No name. Just 6 trembling words, "They're planning to bury this. Meet me." The address was a parking garage. Level 3. Tomorrow night. Marcus stared at the paper, pulse quickening. Was it a trap, or the truth finally breaking through the silence? He thought the worst was over. But the real story was only just beginning. The night was thick with tension. The city slept, but Dr. Marcus Hill was wide awake, standing in the dim glow of his apartment, the letter trembling in his hand. "They're planning to bury this. Meet me. Level 3. The words burned into his mind. He looked toward the window, rain streaked the glass like tears the sky couldn't hold. He had every reason to ignore it. Every reason to walk away. But something deep in him, something that had carried him through the hardest nights in the ER, refused to let injustice live unchecked. He tucked the note into his coat pocket, grabbed his keys, and whispered to himself, "If they want the truth buried, they'll have to face me first." The parking garage was nearly empty when he arrived. The flicker of a dying fluorescent light cast long, trembling shadows across the concrete. Each echo of his footsteps felt heavier than the last. Then, movement. From behind a pillar, a familiar voice whispered, "Dr. Hill?" Marcus turned sharply. It was the bystander, the young black woman who had filmed the traffic stop. Her face was half hidden under a hood, eyes wide with urgency. "They're trying to make it disappear," she said quickly. "The footage, your name, they're saying it was altered, that it's fake. I have the original file, and it shows everything." Marcus's chest tightened. "Why are you risking this?" "Because the world needs to know who you really are," she said. "Not what they want you to be." Before he could answer, tires screeched nearby. A black sedan rolled in, headlights off. Marcus's instinct sharpened. 2 men stepped out, one in plain clothes, the other in uniform. And then came a third figure, stepping from the shadows. Officer Keaton. Marcus's pulse jumped. Keaton looked different now, haunted, hollow-eyed. His badge glinted faintly under the garage light. "Dr. Hill," Keaton said quietly, hands raised halfway. "I didn't come here to hurt you. You need to listen." The bystander tensed, ready to run. "Don't trust him." But Keaton's voice cracked, trembling with guilt. "They're covering it up. The chief, he ordered it. Said the department can't afford another scandal. They're framing the narrative, saying you provoked me, saying you resisted." He swallowed hard. "I was wrong that night. I see it now. But if they bury this, they'll bury every truth that matters." Marcus stepped closer, the echo of his shoes breaking the silence. "Then help me stop it." Keaton nodded slowly, pulling a flash drive from his pocket. This has the dashcam footage, unedited. Everything. It proves you told the truth. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the air, "Keaton." From the shadows emerged the police chief, fury carved into his face. "You think you can betray your own department? You're finished." He motioned, and the man in plain clothes reached for his weapon. But before he could draw, Keaton stepped in front of Marcus. "No," he shouted. "Not again." A single gunshot cracked the silence. Keaton stumbled, clutching his shoulder, collapsing to the ground. Marcus dropped beside him, instincts taking over. Blood poured through his fingers as he applied pressure. "Stay with me," he said, voice steady, urgent. The bystander ducked behind a car, phone already recording. "I'm getting this," she whispered. The chief froze, realizing too late that the scene was now live, broadcasting through social media. Sirens wailed in the distance. Backup was coming, but not for him. Keaton winced, gripping Marcus's arm. "Tell them. I tried to make it right." "You did," Marcus said softly. "You did." Minutes later, more police cars arrived. Officers poured in, guns drawn, but then they saw the chief cornered, the camera streaming, the truth laid bare. The same flashing lights that once symbolized power now exposed corruption. The chief was taken away in handcuffs that night. Keaton was rushed to the hospital, alive but changed. And Marcus, he stood under the garage light, soaked in the rain, the flash drive clutched in his hand. The next morning, every major network carried the story. Dr. Hill vindicated. The uncut footage aired nationwide. It showed everything, the harassment, the humiliation, and the redemption that followed. Hashtags reignited, protests turned to rallies, and Marcus's name became a symbol of both injustice and hope. When Keaton awoke in his hospital bed, Marcus was there. He didn't come to gloat. He came to heal, one last time. "I'm not your enemy," Marcus said quietly. "I'm the man you refuse to see." Keaton turned his head, eyes heavy with remorse. "You saved my partner, and me. I'll never forget that." Marcus nodded. "Then start by doing the right thing." And Keaton did. He resigned, then testified before an independent review board. The department was forced to reform, bodycam footage became mandatory, and the chief was stripped of his rank. Months later, Marcus returned to the hospital, back in his element, saving lives, not fighting for his own. Reporters still called, TV shows still asked for interviews, but he always declined. "Let the story speak," he'd say. One night, as he walked through the quiet ER hallway, the bystander, the same young woman, approached with a small smile. "The world knows now," she said. "You changed things." Marcus looked at her, weary but hopeful. "No," he said softly. "We changed things." Outside, the city lights shimmered through the rain, no longer a blur, but clear, alive, and full of promise.